Hey there, Alex here. The LG G6 was more or less forgotten shortly after its release, and for good reasons. While it did many things well and is a vast improvement over its predecessor, it just didn't really stand out. It also doesn't help that it was still using a slightly outdated chipset. So as the year went by, it just sort of faded into irrelevance. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a good phone though. It's actually a very nice phone that I've actually really enjoyed using. So after a year and after some price adjustment, is the LG G6 still worth buying, and how well has it aged? Let's find out. So let's start with the good stuff. The design is still great and modern looking with its tall display, slim bezels and your typical glass and metal construction. I still love the way the completely flat display looks, and the inclusion of water resistance is great too. The display is a 5.7-inch Quad HD LCD panel, which is still pretty good looking, and supports HDR content as well. It's still nowhere near what Samsung has to offer with their AMOLED panels, but it's decent enough. This display size is also the sweet spot for me. If it was any bigger, it would have been harder to use one-handed. Taller displays are pretty common these days, even for low-end budget devices, so a lot of the minor compatibility issues with apps that I've encountered back when the phone just came out are mostly gone. YouTube now supports cropping into the entire screen, and all the apps I'm using works just fine, so it's great that we can now truly enjoy the advantages of having a taller screen. Then we move on to performance. So the use of an older chipset was a little disappointing for geeks like us, hoping for an all-out, high-end flagship device from LG. But, you know, the performance is actually still pretty good. Sure, the Snapdragon 835 is a noticeably better chipset, but the Snapdragon 821 is still decent, and LG did price the G6 a little lower to match its specifications. So for basic things like running apps and playing some games, it's still a good experience. Even the battery life is actually not that bad still, lasting me about a day of use easily, even with some gaming thrown in. The next plus point would be the camera experience, mostly the wide-angle camera. It's still my favorite type of secondary camera to have on a phone, allowing me to capture more unique looking shots. The image quality isn't amazing, but it's just so much fun to use. The main camera takes good images too, but the image processing can be a bit heavier for some people's taste. While it comes with several interesting camera modes and one of the most comprehensive Pro mode for both photo and video taking, in the end I mostly just use it in auto mode. I'm guessing that is what most people are doing too. It's definitely still a better camera than a lot of mid-range devices today, but just not quite as good as other flagship devices. This is where I want to transition over to the not so good stuff, and we continue with the front camera. It's a wide-angle lens that gives the option to crop in for a more traditional looking selfie, and the image quality is just about average. Even in good lighting conditions, the images looks a little soft and lacks details. Another thing that you need to take note of is the rear camera lens. That piece of glass sits flush with the body of the phone and can pick up some hairline scratches if you're not careful, so I'll definitely recommend getting some protection. While we're still talking about the hardware side of things, another thing to take note of is the headphone jack. I know the LG G6 has a great sounding quad DAC, and having a headphone jack should normally be a good thing. On the G6 though, it's a little wonky. I actually just got this phone back from the service center. The problem was that the connectors inside the audio jack wasn't making proper contact with my headphones, and I'm not the only one with this problem. Some users have fixed it themselves by tugging one of the connectors out a little, but I decided to just make full use of LG's warranty on the phone, so just take note. Let's talk about software next. First of all, it's still running Android 7.0 and the October security patch. This is just really bad for a flagship phone. Like for example, this low-end Nokia 5 is running Android 8.1 already, and it has been getting monthly security patches. The software also has some bloatware and duplicate system apps as you would expect from LG, and the UI design is a little rough around the edges. I also see some very minor stutters and pauses every now and then, so it's not quite as smooth as the Google Pixel with the same chipset, but this is just me nitpicking. If you can live with LG software, there are some pretty handy features, so I think the software experience is still decent. Overall, I still think the LG G6 is a really good and underappreciated phone. It's not the most exciting phone around and it has its shortcomings, but on the whole, it's still a decent phone. It's actually a great option if you're looking at pre-owned phones, especially in Singapore where the prices are pretty reasonable and most of them are still covered under the 2 years warranty provided. So if you can live with some of the shortcomings that I've mentioned earlier, I think the LG G6 is still a phone that is worth buying. Thanks for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again and see you guys on the next one.